We're going to talk about sunlight, the effects it has on the skin. We're going to talk about wrinkles and whatnot, some of the information you hear online. But for one, let's start with this. When you talk about the sun ages you, right? What are the effects of the aging process, right? Aside from the physical appearance of it, right? It would be the physical activity of things. So on a physical appearance of things, you would say the aging process happens because your skin loses elasticity. It loses the plumpiness, or starts to go into a wrinkly stage, right? And when you look at the body, right, the body loses flexibility. So like the skin loses elasticity, the body loses flexibility, right? And the body, it slows down to some extent, right? But these are all just ideas, because see, these ideas are what we all believe in, and this is why we actually start to age, is because of the belief in the aging process. Now, what enhances the aging process of the body, right? So when we say we lose flexibility, right, that means we're a lot more tight, more stiff, and more rigid. Now, I want you to think about something. When a child is in the stomach of the mother, the child is basically all water, okay? It's all water. And when they come out, do you notice how you have to feed them baby food, and you want to acclimate them to eating solid foods, right? So the key is to get them to start off with the baby food and then acclimate them to eating solid foods, because they're growing. They're going through the growing stages of life, right? So you want to focus more on the grounding foods for these children, right? And more the solid foods, because they're mainly, if you compare, let's say, and aside from the child being all water in the stomach, let's say when they're already out and they're a child now of the world, they're more flexible, more malleable, and more open-minded than an adult, right? But that's because they're more water than an adult is. An adult, right, as time goes on, they start to become more stiff, more rigid, and less flexible, right? And even more closed-minded, to be honest with you. So they're more water, right? So we're giving them more solid foods. Now, when they get to, let's say, an adult stage and they start to hit their peak, right? In my opinion, I feel like people are now supposed to wean off solid foods and start to go more toward the liquid diets, right? And the reason I say this is because you are what you eat. And I'm going to tell you something right now. The more importantly is that when you actually hydrate properly, you will actually be more flexible and more malleable. And hey, maybe you could even be a little more open-minded if you are reaching a certain level of consciousness and to some extent. So, you know, the hydration part is very important, okay? When it comes down to the flexibility of the body, movement. And I'm going to get into acids and alkaline in another video, but it'll be my next one when it comes down to, you know, a perspective on acids and alkaline. That's actually very, very important. I want you to think about this on the skin, okay? When you eat a certain diet, what you sweat under the sunlight is what's going to come out on the skin, okay? And if you're on a acidic diet, okay, then what's happening is that this is what's coming out on the skin, and these acids are what's burning on the skin, mutating the cells, all right? So I don't want you to think the sun causes cancer. It's what you're eating and comes out that causes cancer. These acids are going to come out on the skin, the largest eliminative organ of the body, all right? Now, let's say, okay, your diet is pretty balanced. The main thing that people always do after they are exposed to sunlight is they want to go shower. So you have to understand there's a hormone produced on the skin called D3. And this is a very important hormone, okay? And when you go take a shower, you're washing this off. You're not letting that fully process on the skin. That's for one. For two, you go shower and you're actually drying your skin out. For one, that water is horrible, the water you shower with, right? A lot of people take warm showers. Nobody really takes cold showers. Everybody normally predominantly takes warm showers, right? So this is drying the skin out, especially after you got sunlight. This is actually why people start to peel a lot more, All right. And when you're drying the skin out, this is actually what's going to enhance this aging process. Now, people put these exterior moisturizers and creams because they see that their skin dries out, so they don't want to peel, so they start to put these creams. And these creams are not something that you should be applying, because whatever you wouldn't eat orally, you should not be applying on the skin, because your skin is basically eating the same way you eat through your mouth. All right. So it's very important to keep this in mind. This is why I've spoken about deodorants and whatnot. I mean, apply lemon under your armpits. Some people say it burns. Well, the reason why is because you've got a lot of bacteria down there, you know, and it's no, and this is the thing though. A lot of people are not really in homeostasis. I'll give you an example. If you have a lemon, right? Lemon is acidic, but it's alkaline forming. Now, if you have ulcers, you want to cool the body down, but the last thing you want to do is take things like lemons, because you'll only aggravate these ulcers in the body. So what you want to do is cool the body down with certain herbs like marshmallow root, slippery elm, you know, and there's a plethora of other herbs you can use. And then you start to use these lemons. Lemons are a very astringent, powerful detoxifier. But when you have an inflammation or acidic conditions happening, then you don't want to go toward the lemon things to detox. So yeah, the showering part. Now, a lot of people say, well, yeah, but you smell and you're sweaty and you're sticky and whatnot. And again, the reason you smell is your diet. For one, and you know, let me tell you something. People are supposed to have these natural smells called pheromones, which I'm going to get into another video also when it comes down to colognes, perfumes and whatnot. And a lot of these things you're programmed to basically, you know, because you're programmed to think that a man's supposed to smell a certain way, and you're programmed to think a woman is supposed to smell a certain way. And a lot of people are going to be like, well, that's, you know, we're in modern times and whatnot, whatever. It's up to you. Your perspective about life is your perspective about life. I really don't care. I'm just giving you my information. I'm also going to make this disclaimer. I'm not a medical doctor, so do your own research. None of my stuff is backed up by medical science or medical claims, and none of my stuff is backed up by scientific evidence or scientific claims. So do your own research, you know, and this is going to be for those who can actually hear this information. I'm going to give you another valuable point, okay, aside from, and I'm going to tell you right now, what would actually protect the skin is actually the natural oils that come out on the skin. But when you're eating healthy fats, in moderation, of course, this is actually what's going to protect your skin. And in fact, if you were eating the right diet and you go out in the sunlight, you're actually going to glow. You're actually going to get a nice, rich color on the skin. It's going to enhance even your aura, your vibrancy, and your energy. It's actually something that people actually can see, all right, and feel out of you. The sun, the giver of all life, right? Enhances your aura. Now, the same way if I was to stand in front of the sun and the sunlight hitting me behind, I'm going to get a nice glow right behind me, right? Think about what it's doing to your actual aura. You will actually walk around like that because it's actually charging your aura. But anyway, that'll be for another video. Sunglasses. Detrimental. And I know there's a lot of studies online that will tell you that these are myths and these are just theories. But I'm going to tell you something. You have to be very smart when you're looking through the internet, because the internet's going to pretty much give you a bunch of marketing and a bunch of propaganda. Here's the thing. Everything's in the interest of a profit, and the algorithms will be managed accordingly. If you have a vegan and a person who's not vegan arguing about what the proper diet for bodybuilding or your parathyroid, let's say, right? There'll be one study saying, hey, these are the best foods to eat. Dairy-rich products, rich in calcium and whatnot. And by the way, if you have a parathyroid issue, never go with calcium-rich shit. There's ways around this. This is lack of calcium utilization. People do things backwards, but I'll do another video on that because it'll get crazy. But I'm just going to give you an example. So you'll have the guy who's not vegan saying, look, these are the foods that are good for the parathyroid. And then the vegan comes on and says, well, you don't need dairy products. We have vegan products to do that. So now if you substitute it with this, then now you can actually meet your daily requirements or protein intake. You don't need animal products. You can meet it through a vegan diet because you can actually utilize these plant foods to meet your daily needs. So there's always going to be contradicting points online, and whatever they're both saying, hey, they're absolutely true. They're absolutely true. In fact, they're so true that they're always going to have scientific evidence and scientific studies to back their claims up. If they do deep enough research, both sides will. See, here's the thing though. We're in a realm that you think is your reality. That's the whole thing. That's why everything works. So in this realm, you're always going to find something to back up your claims, okay? If you look deep enough. But the reason why is because this reality is actually the lie. And here's the thing. Somebody told me that, it goes by like A to Z where you could just keep uncovering truth. But the whole thing is that's not even how it really works because you're thinking linear. But if you ask yourself, what is truth? That's the whole thing. What would be truth to you? See, the whole thing with this comes down to if you have a lie, all right, and you believe it so much, it can actually become truth. And if a lot of people, the collective, believe in it, it becomes a reality. That's the whole thing. A lie can actually become truth if a lot of people believe in it. If the collective believe in it and it's repeated. So you ever tell yourself a lie so much that you think it's true eventually? That's exactly how it is. So you're in this realm, all right? In order for you to know the truth, you have to experience the lie. This is why I said out of darkness comes light. To experience life, there has to be death. If not, you would not be here. So the same way, for you to know truth, you would have to know the lie. And the lie is something that you would have to realize. And then you can see by going within yourself that all this lie is actually created by you. That's why the whole thing is designed in a way to keep everything in polarities. So, sunglasses. Let's get back on topic. Sunglasses, okay? If you're wearing sunglasses, you trick the body into thinking that it's nighttime. See, here's the thing though. Your body doesn't know the difference between a real or a fake experience. So if you wear sunglasses, you are actually tricking the body into thinking it's nighttime and it's not releasing the certain chemicals in the body appropriate to actually make you harmonious or conducive to sunlight outside of you, okay? It doesn't produce the proper chemicals, doesn't produce the proper hormones. So this is actually very important to keep in mind, okay? And a lot of studies online are going to show you that this is not true, okay? But then again, when you really look at it, if I have a phone and I'm looking at it right before I go to bed and I'm exposed to that blue light, a lot of people report having trouble sleeping. Why? Because the brain thinks that it's daytime because it's giving you a certain light that it's preventing the pineal gland from producing melanin. So you don't have a restful night because you're exposing yourself to all that blue light from the phone. You see what I'm saying? So certain lighting affects you going to sleep, and certain lighting can harm you because, like the same way, if you go out in sunlight, the sunlight can harm you if you don't look at it in the organic way where you actually become, you kind of say, I'm in tune with nature. So you're feeling the sun, right? You're exposing yourself in the environment. But then again, you have to look at it, you know? So if you watch a scary movie, you may even have a nightmare. You have to process that. That's you going to sleep processing that experience you just had. That's all it is. Right? So you experienced the movie. And then, but let's say if you're watching porn, your body thinks it's ready to procreate. It doesn't realize it's watching porn, you know? It thinks it's ready to procreate. And you rewire your body into, I'm going to talk about that in another video. I'm going to talk about porn and no fapping and all that bullshit, but this video is going to get long if I go into that. But we talked about the shower after the sun. See, here's the thing. Let's say, for example, if you're outside and you want to lay down and tan, you don't even need to cover your eyes. That's the whole thing, because a lot of people cover their eyes, and this is why the sun may burn you as well. Just close your eyes, right? But don't cover your eyes with like towels or anything like that. Just closing your eyes, and you'll notice that you're going to see a red-orange light, right? It's kind of like a shade of orange and red when you close your eyelids. right? And this is good, right? Because this is where the body knows that it's getting the infrared, or that color, that hue. That's what you want. The body knows, and it's producing the proper chemicals for that. You get what I'm saying? Sun gazing is very important, actually, also, like let's say in the morning times at sunrise and sunset, maybe blinking at the sun a couple times during the day is actually very beneficial for you. Gets rid of parasites in the body as well. It's kind of like you opening the blinds up, because these are your blinds. The real eye is the one that's right in the middle of your head. So these blinds, for example, when you open the blinds and you let the light in, how do you feel? Doesn't it bring a certain energy into, like, let's say if you're in the house and you got the blinds down, you open the shades or open the light, right? I mean, open the blinds. What happens when you let the sunlight in? You feel like a nice, clean energy in your house, right? So it just looks bright. It looks beautiful in your house when the light is in there. So it's the same thing. Let the light into your home, and open up the blinds from time to time, see, showers after. We talked about showers. We talked about, so here's another thing. When you're laying down, right? And I talked about your eyes being closed. You got the red and orange light. Don't forget the blue light of the sky. The sky being blue is actually another light. Okay, that's the blue light you should be exposed to. That's actually very good for your skin. You notice how they said that when these blue lights out in the street lamps are blue? And I made a video on that. I'm going to link the video in the description of this video, right? I talked a lot of important points there when it came down to the blue lights that we see outside, those street lights being purple or bluish, and then people say that it's good for the skin. That's not good for the skin. The blue light that's good for the skin is the one that's up in the sky, the blue light of the sky. All right, and then the red and orange ultraviolet from the sun is very good for you. And don't forget, what you eat, what you eat comes out on your skin. Okay, this is also something to take into account. If you eat very acid, disgusting foods that don't belong in your system, then what happens is that that's what you sweat. That's what comes out on the skin. All right, so it's not the sun that's burning you. It's the oils, the saturated fats and whatnot that's coming out. Those acids are actually mutating and causing destruction on your skin. So that's actually something to pay very, very close attention to. All right, and I've done videos on that. I have 2 videos on particularly the sun does not cause skin cancer. I'm going to tie those videos in the description of this video. Your diet's very important. Okay, what affects aging on the skin as well is the parathyroid. Okay, so this is the thing. If your body's very acidic, your body's going to rob calcium from the skeletal matrix, and it uses this calcium as a carbonate because it's basically a buffering agent for these acids. If that didn't happen, you would most likely die. So the reason why it has to rob calcium is because you're putting in too much acids in the body, and this compromises the parathyroid. When the parathyroid is compromised, you may experience depression, low mood, anxiety, but most importantly, it starts to weaken the connective tissue. So you start to get wrinkly like that. That's what happens. Melanin, a person who's dark-skinned can be out in the sun a lot longer, and that's because they have a high melanin on their skin, and this actually protects them from the sun basically burning their skin. Now, if it's a white person tends to age faster. But again, if you really think about it, when you sleep, you have something called melatonin. And this is actually regenerative and aging. This is actually a very important chemical that you would need to basically help you regenerate the body quicker. Now, a dark-skinned person has this over a white person. It's not to say that the white person is a victim that they can't, go out and get sunlight. They just don't have to expose themselves to the sunlight as long as a dark-skinned person. In fact, dark-skinned people are more susceptible to D3 deficiencies than a white person. And that's because they are required to be in sunlight a lot longer than a white person. So the white person actually could be out a little bit shorter. But if they go out and expose themselves in brackets and eat a proper biologically appropriate diet and not shower, right? At least let the body hydrate itself, then they will not get wrinkly, you know? And don't forget, what you're eating is what's aging you faster. And plus, aside from all that, is stresses of life. Anxiety, stress, you know, all this type of stressful situations that you put your body through is actually not good. And there's certain levels of stress, like, for example, like exercising and whatnot, that are beneficial, yet they are not at the same time, which I'm going to make another video because I've seen a lot of videos online lately if bodybuilding is actually a natural thing to do, right? And I'm going to get into a video on that as well. So I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to compare this, and I'm going to end it with this. Plants, okay? I have a Pachira aquatica, and I have bamboo plants. See, the bamboo plants are very weak in the sunlight. They actually require very low light, so much so that they have them in businesses, and they have them, you know, either next to a window or just basically on a shelf somewhere, and they grow. You know what I'm saying? They're very low light plants. However, I did this experiment. See, these bamboo plants, when you put them out in sunlight, they could die. But the whole thing is, when you put them out and acclimate them little by little, the leaves turn white, but those leaves die down, and then the new shoots eventually keep coming out. They turn white, and then whatever keeps coming out eventually becomes tolerant to the sunlight. My bamboo plants, I'm going to make a separate video on that, are basically indirect sunlight, okay? My Pachira aquatica, which is the money tree, I put it outside, and all the leaves fell. They crinkled up, died. The new ones that came out, now, first of all, the stalks are super hard, and the leaves are very, very sun hardy. They are amazing. It's actually an amazingly beautiful, vibrant looking plant, which I'll make another video update on, which I also have a video. I just recently put out the update on the money tree and some cool energy work set up for, like, you know, let's say your garden and whatnot. I'll link that video in the description of this video. I got a few videos to link in the description of this particular video, but they're well worth it. I mean, it's something that you should look into. And again, do your own research. I'm not a medical doctor, but for those who can hear this information, oh, trust me, you'll get the message. But I think that's about everything I wanted to cover. You know, if you like, share, and subscribe. That does help my channel out, and we'll talk soon.